The heavy equipment belongs to the largest producer of metallurgical coal in North America, the third largest producer of zinc, the operators of copper mines, smelters, and heavy oil. They are the legacy of a man who for 40 years nurtured Teck into one of North America's most dynamic mining companies.
I was born in Massachusetts, actually. My dad was teaching, he got his PhD at Harvard, and he was teaching at MIT.
Shortly thereafter, his father would come home to Canada. Norman Keevil Jr. arrived with his father in Ontario and fell in love with geography. His father had laid the foundation of a unique viewpoint on life and mining that would pay handsome dividends over the years.
But then he used a fairly unconventional method of geophysics called self-potential, and he used that to discover the Temagami ore body.
The discovery at Temagami set in motion a pattern of realizing potential where others had determined there was none. Temagami had been identified by others as too small, but it turned out to be one of the highest crude ore grades ever mined in Canada. While his father continued to build a mining and oil and gas company, Norman Keevil Jr. completed his Bachelor of Science at the University of Toronto and his PhD at Berkeley in California. And then he was all set to take a job as a professor at Salt Lake City University when his father called.
I got talked into coming back to Toronto to join what was then Teck. After saying no a few times, I got talked into coming back there, and I've sort of not looked back. And you wonder what would have happened had I gone to Salt Lake City. I'd be probably a competent skier.
Skiing was put on hold indefinitely as Norman launched himself into the topsy-turvy world of mining, oil and gas, and exploration.
And so the bread and butter for Teck in the early 60s was oil and gas.
But oil and gas was an elusive target.
We learned through 8 or 10 years of exploring for oil that we were not very competent at it.
Increasingly, the company turned towards mineral exploration.
One learns after a while that exploration success directly and on your own is the objective of every person in the business and in the geology business. It's not that easy. I switched around to becoming a mine finder by recognizing things other people had found and for some reason didn't want or didn't need, and picking them up and turning them into mines.
With that realization, Norman Keevil became the man others went to with opportunities that needed his particular insight and vision.
It's a matter of recognizing opportunities that are sitting there that other people have.
In that vein, he saw opportunities across Canada.
And we built 5 mines over a space of 6 years.
Of those 5 properties, it was Newfoundland Zinc that first brought Keevil in line with Caminco, a relationship that would take on greater significance in the future.
By pure coincidence, it had been optioned out to Caminco. And Caminco, their option was about to expire, and Caminco called us up after we'd acquired Leach and said, we'd like to extend the option. And we were just about to do it when one of our geologists named John May took a hard look at the thing. He was sitting in an office next to mine, and he said, I think we should drill this thing ourselves. So we told Caminco, you can't have it, we'll take it back. We drilled it, and it turned into a neat little ore body. Not big, but neat.
In 1972, Teck had moved to British Columbia, establishing its head office in Vancouver. And over the next 40 years, the company grew to become one of Canada's mining giants, thanks to that ability to see opportunity where others didn't. The Antamina mine is a textbook example of Keevil's willingness to go where few others dare to venture.
This is one of the things that we got a lot of criticism for at the time, and we committed to build this thing in the middle of the Asian crisis.
That meant raising capital was difficult, if not downright impossible.
You couldn't raise money, so the question was, how could we possibly finance it? And nobody had ever, including us, had never built a project of any kind at over 14,000 feet in the high Andes. So we did it all. I mean, we actually built it on budget, under budget. We built it on time, and we got it financed.
The story of Teck is one of the great Canadian corporate stories. And it's a story of a combination of science, discipline, entrepreneurship, and just plain guts. And they built a really fine company. And on top of that, during this period, if they aren't if they aren't the best corporate citizen in this town, they're certainly among them.